So one of the questions that we've got is around expectations from the business and the senior stakeholders. So senior stakeholders have requested the delivery of X, and the business's expectations are that that will be a much more complex scope being delivered. So there's a lot of disappointment and frustration. How would you advise on that?
Okay, well, I think in terms of what you've been asked to deliver as a project, that's where you need to start. If there's some misalignment anywhere, well, there's two things. One, what was the project actually asked to deliver, and has that been communicated? So wherever there is misalignment within a project, the answer is communicate. How do we bring the expectations of one group and another into alignment? Be that the project team who were asked to deliver X, or perhaps have delivered X first. Do we need to go back and check that what we've delivered is actually what was asked of us? Is there a reason why these expectations are misaligned? Were they thinking they were getting Y because actually we were asked to get Y, we just misinterpreted that?
Yeah.
So looking at the original scope of delivery, and then understanding why there is a different expectation on the end user side of things. So that quite often, you mentioned senior leadership, that quite often is the case where senior leadership go, we need this, instruct the project team, but the communication around what the project team's been instructed to do and what people are going to get is not always completely aligned. And as I say, it's a communications piece where there is misalignment in terms of expectations. Communicating, so bringing those users into the conversation, perhaps explaining what was being delivered and whether there's any sort of roadmap. So if you can paint a picture of, well, look, this is what we were asked to deliver, but there is an expectation that these things will follow.
Okay.
Even if those things are beyond the scope of the project, but you've got some visibility of that's the road, which, if you've been engaged as a PM, possibly you do have some understanding of, we're going to deliver this for day one and that's what we need you to do. Don't worry about this other stuff because that's coming. If you can perhaps paint that out, that's not always necessarily been made clear to everyone else. So if you can paint the roadmap of, here's what we've been asked to deliver, and there's what needs to come down the line. And you can even act as a facilitator for a discussion of, if the users are still going, but that's not what we need, what you've delivered doesn't do what we need it to do, then I think there's a conversation where you become a bit of a conduit to that senior leadership to say, we've delivered the project and the project on its own terms is successful. Yeah. But we ought to highlight, it's incumbent upon us to highlight that this isn't actually meeting the needs of the business, of the users, of the people who are actually involved in it day to day. What do we need to do about that? That's a perfectly good, there's a benefits management piece there of, like, we've delivered the thing you asked us to deliver, but we're not completely convinced you're actually going to get the benefit you're expecting.
It's an interesting take to use communications to solve problems.
Yes.
Which I think often we think of it the other way around, that we do that first and everything goes very swimmingly. But if that's been misaligned, obviously we can then use that to.
Yeah, and it's sort of, it's never too late to communicate. Obviously, in an ideal world, you would communicate first, and then everyone's expectations are set, and where people deviate slightly, get another comm in and bring everyone back to the page on a regular basis. But if you've missed the opportunity to do that, or not had the opportunity to do that, that doesn't mean you've missed that boat. You can still get everyone around the table and start talking around, right, well, this is actually how it's going to look now going forward.